live. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. I would like to speak to you this afternoon about Greek and Turkish weddings, which I've had the pleasure of coordinating and Toastmastering and event managing many. And it's always been a wonderful, wonderful experience. Just to let you know, first of all, my website is www.thecompletetoastmaster.co.uk. So, ladies and gents, how does it work? Well, let's start with Greek weddings first of all. Now, they're always very, very family orientated. I love it. It's something I really, really like. Now, for a Greek wedding, it starts where we do the scheduling, get to meet the client first of all over a Skype or face to face, whatever works. But Skype's always better because you can take all the notes and everything, and go through the traditions, the way they want things done. I also know a lot about Greek weddings, so I'll be able to enhance the experience for them. So how it will work is initially taking notes, then putting together a first schedule. That's a preliminary schedule. So in the schedule, we go through the running order in detail. Now, this is how it will basically work from the beginning. First of all, I would ask the bride and groom to give me a list of all the suppliers, and also one or two contacts from each side of the family, just to fine tune on the day, just to make sure the bride and groom will be on time. So I'll speak to cars, I'll speak to hair and makeup, I will speak to every supplier, the DJ, the photographer, the videographer, make sure everyone's going to be in the right places at the right time and we won't have any delays. It is the important thing. I need to stay absolutely on top of it because I'm there. I want to provide every client with an exclusive and very, very unique experience, which is according to their wishes. That's what it's all about. It's about that, and it's about teamwork. You know, working together with everybody on the day so everything runs harmlessly smooth. So the bride and groom won't even see any problems. If there are any problems, we'll deal with it in the background together. You know, so let them enjoy, let the guests enjoy, and let everything be as stress-free as it possibly can. So, working with them. On the schedule, let's go through a Greek wedding, how it would generally work. So, it would basically start in the morning with a stolisma. Now, the stolisma is when the bride and groom are ready, literally ready. They're about to come out of their house, and the family give them a blessing before they actually go. And sometimes you have the musicians at the house as well, just before they leave. That's a very important Greek tradition, a stolisma. And with that, they have the kumara and kumbaris, basically. So it's the best man and lady who is involved, and they'll basically be carrying the crowns, which will be exchanged at a later date in the church as well. So what basically happens is on the day. So as I said, it will start with a stolisma. The guests will generally arrive at the Greek Orthodox Church normally roughly about 40 minutes before. I'll be there about an hour and 20 minutes before, just to make sure that everything's ready. I always say to the clients to do a ceremony plan. Let's work it together. So the fact that we can put all the reserved seats on the front, you know, that's parents, siblings, groomsmen, you know, bridesmaids. So their seats are there, we don't have to worry. And then everyone else can sit behind, as you know, as one big family, which is generally the case. So, I mean, at the church as well, I'll always attach buttonholes, which is usual. Attach buttonholes to the guests when they arrive. I tend to find with the Greek groomsmen that the buttonholes are already done, you know, when they get to church. The reason it's done that way is because it airs off any bad energy, bad spirits or anything. So, but sometimes it's not done. So I will help them tie cravats, put on buttonholes at the church, you know, for anybody. And what the good thing is about this one is, you put the buttonholes on. I'll ask if it's the bride side or the groom side, you know. So if you're with a kumbara or kumbaris, you know, there's lots of different terms you can actually use. And what will happen is I'll put the buttonhole on them. And what will happen is at the reception later on, you know, the kumbara or kumaris, best man, best woman will generally go around and ask for some money because they put the button, you know, for the buttonhole. and that money goes towards the bride and groom, goes towards the wedding basically. So so that gets done that way. So at the church, I'm there to make sure the seating's correct, welcome all the guests, make sure the suppliers are on time, make sure everything is absolutely smoothly running in the background. It's so important. Everybody will be sat down normally about 15 minutes before, well, which will happen. I like to invite the groom in on his own. Well, or with his family first of all, but it depends what they want. Again, this is, it's very different. I've even basically seen the groom walk in front of the bride first. The bride doesn't know, the bride's at the back with the bridesmaids and the groom's with the groomsmen. It can happen. Sometimes they pair up. It just depends. There's all different types of traditions nowadays, and it can all be just tweaked to the way they really want it. So once the groom's at the front, what normally happens is 10 minutes before, I'll get a call from someone on the bride side of the family, and they'll say to me, look, we're on our way, which is the news I want to hear. And then what I can do is with that, the photographers, the videographers, the priest, they will all be told. So I'll say, look, let's get ready, they're on their way, they'll be here in 10 minutes, which is good. And generally that is the case when it normally happens. So, it's all about all the fine tuning in the background to make sure that it runs on time. Now, what generally happens is once the bride arrives, she'll have a few photos, she'll go in, and then I will make my way across to the reception. Now, what will happen is at the end of the reception, I will tell the best man or the best woman, the kumara or kumaris, just to give me a text or to give me a phone call to tell me the guests are on their way. That way I'm well ahead. I can speak with a caterer, speak with a venue, and say to them, look, we'll be here at so and so time. So I get indications, So everyone arrives at the venue. We have drinks. There's canapes. There's music. At that point, the bride and groom may be going off for a photo shoot somewhere. Then they'll come back to the venue. We'll have the family shots. May have a group shot. Just depends what they want, really. And I'm there to assist with all the groups what need to be done. Some will have been done at the church, but they have lots of photos at the venue as well. So I'm there to assist, just to gather people and to keep it running nice and smoothly. That's part of my role at the venue as well. Direction, coordination, making it all stress-free, making it perfect. So once the drinks reception's done, photos been taken, we get everybody in to be seated. Now, once everybody's seated, what basically happens is the first people I like to announce are the parents, to make it special for the parents to bring it through. It's a very big day for the family, so I feel the parents should be introduced in, and then sometimes after that maybe the kumar or kumaris possibly. So it depends. I like to recommend all of this to the bride and groom to see what they say, just so we can let those people are so important, so I give them the recognition they deserve. Once they're in, we announce. I have people on the doors, and I'll announce the bride and groom in. They'll come in. The cake will be in the middle of the dance floor. Well, generally, sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's on by the head table. But so what they'll do is they'll come to the dance floor area and they'll walk around the dance floor 3 times. That's a tradition. So, and it's a lovely tradition, to be honest. So they'll walk around 3 times, and then they'll go, they'll go around and they'll be seated. Straight after being seated, I'll go straight into a welcome speech, just to welcome everybody on the bride and groom's behalf, tell them about the programme for the day. Then following that, sometimes it happens before, sometimes it after. Basically, the father of the bride may want to say a few words at that point, but it's generally after the meal anyway. So what will happen once everybody's seated, the first thing that will happen, what I like to do, is I like to do a candle unite ceremony. It's just a lovely little thing where I ask the bride and groom to get me a candelabra. I'll put it on the high table, on the head table. I'll get both mums to come forward to light the candles to the left and right of the centre. And once those candles have been lit, the bride and groom will light the candles together. So it's a family. First of all, we'll light the candles to the left and right. That's both parents, both mums or both dads, whatever they want. And then it's picked up by the bride and groom, now like the centre together. And that's uniting the both families, which is really special. Looks lovely on the camera as well when you look back on these memories. The other thing we do is a bit of is a card ceremony at that point. So I'll give the bride and groom 2 blank wedding cards, which I'll have asked them to get for me. I'll get the bride to fill in a little memory of the day and the groom a little memory of the day. And a year later on their first anniversary, they'll open the cards and see what they said about each other. Absolutely lovely. I love this. Now, what happens after that is we do the napkin game. Now, so this bit is really, really good. I'll get one person on each table to hold a napkin. Now, what happens is the napkin will go around to everybody. The music will play and it goes faster and faster and faster. And I encourage people, come on, let's get those napkin round. And then eventually I'll look at the band and I'll tell them to stop. And what generally happens there, you know, is a person on each table is holding the napkin after it's gone round, and they'll win the centrepiece. Not so, you know, they'll win actually the centrepiece itself. Sometimes the glass, if it's in glasses, they may do, but a lot of the time it's just a flower centrepiece, and that's a little gift really from the bride and groom. It's really, really nice, to be honest. Then after that, at the Greek wedding, it's starters, main course, dessert. It goes like that. Sometimes there's a bit of dancing in between the meals, but it's quite rare. But I have seen it, to be honest with you. So we'll work with a couple, however they want it done. And then after dinner, we have the speeches. But during dinner, I utilise another special touch. It's called Memories of the Bride and Groom. So I'll go round to each table and ask them for some funny memories about the bride or about the groom since they've been together or individually. And then I'll read 3 of those after the speeches. And people just burst out laughing. It's just very, very, very funny, really. Brings a really lovely atmosphere. So we'll normally have 3 or 4 speeches first. Then we'll do there might be a little bouquet ceremony where I'll get the bride to give the groom's mum a bouquet and the groom to give the bride's mum a bouquet. Okay. So, and there might be a few presents as well to give out as well. And then following that, then I'll do the memories of the bride and groom, and then I might have a few other little touches up my sleeve. But I will have cleared this with the bride and groom first. I'll work according to their style, the way they want it. So, after that, in an ideal world, the cake would have been in the middle of the dance floor, but sometimes it's not because you have people dancing during the meals. So they'll put it near to the top table. And what I always request on that is, 6 champagne flutes, possibly 8 champagne flutes, and a small serviette and 2 forks. So I'll invite first of all the bride and groom to come to the cake and cut it. We'll have a countdown and they'll cut it really nicely. And then following that, I will invite the bride and groom to feed each other. They're the first to cut the cake, so let them feed, let them enjoy it. Then after that, with the champagne, 8 champagne flutes, and the champagne is already on the cake table. I'll invite the parents. I'll invite the kumbara or kumbaris, the best man, best woman, to the cake table with the bride and groom. I'll pour champagne into each of the glasses. Then they'll toast each other, wishing each other only good health, peace, and happiness. It's great. I love it. So then what generally happens after that is we do that. Then we do the first dance. Now the first dance is great. So the first dance is for the bride and groom. That's enjoyable. Then sometimes we have the bride and mum, the bride and dad, groom and mum. Happens sometimes. I recommend it, but it's obviously up to the couples the way they want it. So all goes in, all happens. And then, as the dance floors, as things warm up a little bit after the first dance, we'll basically go into the money game. We'll do so basically, I'll call it the money game. It's the money pinning. It's basically called. So the bride and groom, what would have happened is they'll be in their outfit that they're on. Oh, and they do get lots of holes on their outfits. And what will happen is they'll be on the middle of the dance floor. And it'll be family first, we'll invite, so it'll be parents, siblings. First of all, I'll be inviting them first of all, and they'll be pinning money. onto the bride and groom. My God, and you see £20 notes, £50 notes and everything. Lots and lots of money is actually put onto the bride and groom. And the way I try to do it is table by table, maybe 3 tables at a time to come up to pin the money. And the music's going, it's really, 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 really good. So, yeah, so we do the money pinning, it goes on and on and on. And you'll see the bride and groom absolutely covered in money. It is great to see. And it's just a brilliant atmosphere. Greek weddings generally always are. They're just fantastic. I love them. And then, as I say, what happens is, either they would have had the first dance before the money dance, or they will have had the first dance, everyone's on the floor, then the money dance carries on. Then they do the money dance then. It's always different formats with it, to be honest with you. It's so what would generally happen is after the money dance, we'll do the individual dances. So the bride and groom might want to have another dance first, and the bride and groom will dance with their parents. Bride and groom will bring their siblings on. Then it might be the bride with her best friends. It might be the groom with his boys. It might be the bridesmaids and groomsmen together. Then there might be the bride and groom with any grandparents. So you can literally have 20 dances. It's amazing, really, to be honest with you. And then as time goes on, I'll sort of leave at about that point. But however, I'm often asked to stay to the end. And I love this bit. I'll get everybody into a nice big circle. Get the bride to go around one way, the groom to go around the other to say goodbye to everyone. Following that, I'll announce the bride and groom into the centre circle for the last dance. After they've had the last dance, the bride and groom will say a few words. Then we'll get 2 rows. Get the bride and groom to walk through the 2 rows as they're leaving. Literally as they're coming out. You know, sometimes it happens when they're not coming out, where we just might need 2 rows, just to enact that they're coming out, and also the videographer will pick everything up, will pick up the effects at the end of the evening. So there's different ways that we can do it, but it all works, and I make it work. So as I say, just to recap, with Greek weddings, direction, coordination, it's working closely with everybody, and again, it's a very, very exclusive service which I give to the clients to make sure they'll have memories for a lifetime and beyond. Now, that's Greek weddings. Thank you very much for listening to that. Turkish weddings, a little bit different. So with the Turkish weddings, it's normally civil ceremony at the venue. Generally happens, it's a civil ceremony. So what would basically happen is so you can have a Greek, a Turkish, Cypriot. You can have a Turkish wedding. There's so many different types. That's generally a civil ceremony, you know. So it's basically me arriving about an hour before, getting the groom there half an hour before to be registered, everybody to be seated, announcing the grooming, and then basically, yeah, the groom with his boys, and the bride comes in. So that's how it works there. And then again, prior, I'll be at the venue, tie cravats, put on any buttonholes that's needed to be doing. I'll arrive very early just to make sure that everything's all in order, the rooms are ready. Literally, again, I would have called all the suppliers just to make sure that everyone's going to arrive on time. Speak to both sides of the family to fine-tune everything. So everything would have been well fine-tuned by me prior to actually anything happening. So, and then with the Turkish, what generally happens is, which I see a lot, is they might have a smaller civil ceremony for about 100 guests, and then once the canapé, with the drinks reception starts, you get another 200 people arriving. That happens on a regular basis, and people enjoy some champagne, they enjoy some canapés. You know, it's just a very enjoyable moment. And at that point, we can do some group photos. The bride and groom will have, you know, they'll give me a list of groups. They'll want to go out for a photo shoot with a photographer, with a videographer. So, you know, I'll assist wherever I can, and I'll also assist, you know, if there's a table plane to show people where the tables are, on the floor plan, that type of thing. That happens a lot. Sometimes I find with Turkish weddings as well, it's just reserved seats at the front for the first 2 or 3 tables, and then everybody else just sits behind. That happens regularly. Once everyone's seated at a Turkish wedding, what generally happens is you'll have I'll bring in the parents first again, the siblings, make it special for them, and then I'll invite the bride and groom in with a Davulzuna. So yeah, the drum and the really, really good. I love the Davulzuna, great atmosphere. You know, everyone's up, everyone's clapping, and goes on for about 10-15 minutes. And they do a really, really good performance, to be honest with you. Yeah, so after that, what we'll do is after that performance, get the bride and groom seated. I'll do a little welcome, do some of my little touches, maybe a little candle ceremony to unite both sides of the family, a little card ceremony where the bride fills out a memory of the day and the groom a memory of the day, and a year later on their anniversary they'll see what they said about each other. Might include a few more special touches as time goes on, maybe a Mr. and Mrs. game, a few different things. So, you know, so the meal goes on. Sometimes they dance in between meals, and you tend to find sometimes at these weddings where a lot of people are just up dancing and they don't even sit down for the meal. So it's quite kind of just go with the flow and see, you know, just see what happens, which is an important thing. You know, you tend to find with Turkish Cypriot weddings that the Davulzuna's there just for the entrance. With the full Turkish mainland weddings, the Davulzuna's there for the whole time. So, you know, so generally after the meal we have a few speeches. You know, I'll do a few little games. We might do some bouquets given to the parents, and literally it's just literally dancing. Everyone's just dancing around in circles, really. But it's fun. It's all good. It's enjoyable. There's always the same band. Yeah. So I know most of the bands anyway, and they do an amazing job. They're really good. I know the DJs too, having done many Turkish weddings. So I mean, as time goes on throughout the evening, then we do the clay pot. So we make sure we've got a good surface, and we have a cloth on the floor. That's important when you're doing this ceremony. Otherwise, the bits will go everywhere. So basically, the girls will dance with the clay pot first. Bridesmaids will dance with a clay pot, and then, you know, the bride and groom will have a dance. It'll be slammed on the floor. They'll slam it on the floor, basically. And yeah, so the bride will slam the clay pot on the floor, and then all the sweets come out. There's money everywhere. All the kids go everywhere trying to take all the sweets. It's quite messy, but it's a great tradition, to be honest with you. I normally leave at that point after that's been done. But however, I can stay to the end. I can do nice last dance circles like I do with the same sort of format as the Greek weddings, where the bride and groom say goodbye to everyone, go around the circles and answer them in for a last dance, last speeches. We can do a nice entrance out. Do you know, to be honest with you, it's absolutely unlimited what I can do. That's just a little outline of it, but there really is so much more. We need to speak in detail. You know, to have me at a Greek or Turkish wedding, the benefits are huge, and it will enhance it. It'll take the stress off the family. It'll take the stresses off the bride and groom. No one have to worry about anything. So I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. Thanks again.